Hello, folks. Thank you so much for joining me here for this edition of Build Mode. We're going to be talking about how we have AI employees in automations, but we'll be getting going in just a minute or so, give some people a moment to join, and then we'll get right back to it. So stick around. All right, everyone. We are going to get started with this week's edition of Build Mode. If you haven't been watching this series, Build Mode is an opportunity to dive into how AI and operations can be enhanced by using the Vendasta platform. And we give you lots of practical tips of ways to make this happen by diving into some examples and some uh, specific knowledge around how AI and automations work in the Vendasta platform. And I'm really excited about today's session. I suppose I always am, but in particular, I get to talk about AI employees in automations. And this is using a little bit of information about AI employees that is important to understand how they generally work. If you're watching this and you haven't been taking part in the earlier versions of Build Mode, we have all of those sessions available on our YouTube channel. And I encourage you to check that out so that you can get caught up. But even if you aren't super familiar, there's lots of information here that I think you'll be able to take in and should be useful. As we go through, feel free to leave questions in the Q&A. Be sure to leave some time at the end to get to them. And yeah, without further ado, let's take a look at today's agenda. So I always want to take some time to do some basic understanding where I'm going to give a demo of the AI receptionist following up with form fills and creating sort of a conversation from a form fill. We're going to talk about determinism versus non-determinism. This is something I've talked about previously, but it's really important when we're thinking about the context of mixing AI and automations. And then we're going to talk about how you can use automation inputs and outputs and how those are involved in a workflow. And then we're going to take some time to build. We'll build a automation using post-conversation trigger and show off some of the things that it can do. So without further ado, I'm going to do a demo of the AI receptionist responding to a web form. So here I am in my lovely business app for Mr. Handy Helper. Great place to start. And what I've done is I've created a form. We have some really great templates that you can use, and I use the template for a lead generation form. It has a message field, and I copied the embed code here. And I also set up an automation for when an AI receptor, or excuse me, when a form is submitted by a contact, the AI receptionist is going to automatically respond. And we have a bunch of great automation templates, and this is one of those available to you. So you can, of course, have this on any website, but I'm just using lovely W3 Try It editor. It's a great way to test out some scripts and see how they work. So I'll enter my name here. I'll enter a email address. Let's go Handy. And I'll enter a phone number. Great. And I'm going to leave a message. Let's pretend I am reaching out to my handyman business that I want to work with. I'll make that submission. Fantastic. And now, as I go back to my Conversations AI tab in the Business app, we can see that a form captured the information. Great. We got all of that information here in our Conversations AI tab. And if I scroll down to automations, you'll see that this automation should be running through. Oh, it looks like I might have missed the trigger there. My apologies. But when that form would be submitted, we have the ability to send a prompt to our AI receptionist, and then use that to then send a message via Conversations. Look at that. Just in time, we can see that the automation did go through. And we can see a run through of that here in the automation, but it's actually probably more useful to look at it in the Conversations view. And we can see, had I not put in a fake phone number, we would have had this great message sent automatically. Thanks for reaching out. Here's my name. I represent this business. We specialize in getting homes ready for winter. A member of our team will review your message and contact soon. And if you have any specific areas of concern, please let us know so that we could better assist you. And the great thing about this is, hey, they sent out this form, but now we've moved the conversation to SMS. And now that we're on SMS, Mr. Handy Helper is ready to have a back and forth conversation and can respond from here further. So it's a great way of getting all of those conversations sort of centralized into our Conversations view while using context and triggers from our automations. And this was all possible just by setting up a simple form with even a default template that we had set up to get the AI receptionist responding. So let's talk a little bit about AI automations, or I should say maybe automations and AI. And I start that way because we're going to talk a quick bit about determinism. And that's really a fancy way of saying we want really specific actions to happen based on really specific conditions. And there's only a certain number of ways that this can happen. Step one, the message or the form comes in, and then either this is going to happen or either this is going to happen. And then if that happened, then here's the options for this to happen. And this is really good for really consistent, predictable business processes and for getting data in really consistent and predictable ways. There's a lot of value to having really deterministic flows. There's also non-determinism, and this is often what we think of when we are working with AI employees. We have these general guidelines and blocks that we give to AI. And then the large language model is able to interpret that to figure out the best way to take the next action. And the path might not be so linear. And there's some advantages to this as well, too. Maybe think of it like if you are running a hair cutting business. An example of determinism there might be booking a haircut online. Your business model is all about getting people to go to that online place, and they fill out the form and they say, hello, this is my name, and this is the type of haircut that I want, and here's the slot, this is the exact time that I'm going to go have that haircut. There's a lot of value in that. It's going to be really consistent. It's going to work. There's not going to be any real surprises, or there shouldn't be. And it also makes it really easy to have good structured data to build your business upon. But imagine yourself as maybe someone who wants to get a specific type of haircut, but you don't know exactly if that's going to be possible. Or, you just have something that you think should be really quick, but you don't know if it's going to be quick or not. Well, maybe You actually want to have something like a walk-in at a barber shop. There's a lot of people who actually prefer going to those styles of barbershops because they can just go whenever they need, if they're free and if they're available. They value the conversation that they can have back and forth with the barber, and they can get a little bit of input and output when they go into that barbershop. There's a place for both determinism and non-determinism. But it's hard to sometimes find the balance between the two and get the best of both worlds. And that's really what we're trying to do by having AI employees work inside of automations. You have the deterministic things that happen, that this will always happen each and every time. And you have the non-deterministic things. Based on the information that we have, do your best to make a personalized choice. And we find that spot right in the middle where we have AI employees working inside of automations. So um, let's start first thinking through those sorts of automation deterministic pieces. Automations require triggers, and that's the main fundamental building block. Hey, when a new lead has been captured in a conversation, that's a trigger. Or maybe when a form has been submitted for a contact, that's a trigger that I used for my demo automation. Or when a call activity is created for a contact from a certain number, now you're making the trigger just a little bit more specific. Or maybe something like when a meeting status is modified to no-show. There's all sorts of different types of meetings and all sorts of different types of meeting statuses. We're going to do something specific for no-shows. Now, in Vendasta's automation system, we have a number of great actions that you can take. You could send an SMS to a contact. You can create an opportunity. You can create a CRM sales task, or you could update a contact. And when you're doing those things through the automation system, generally speaking, you are using deterministic workflows. When a new lead has been captured in a conversation, you would send an SMS to a contact, and the message that you would send would be pretty much the exact same each and every time. Maybe you would use some dynamic content to change the person's name, or you would refer to a different service or something like that. But the SMS would look basically the same each and every time. Same idea when the call activity is created. It would follow this sort of template of pushing things in and out. With AI employees and having the ability to call an AI employee in a message, you're able to have the content way more informed by the context and a little bit more non-deterministic output to come from your consistent workflows. So based on the trigger, write a follow-up message, Mr. AI employee, and send an SMS to a contact. Or, based on the trigger, determine the appropriate salesperson to handle this inquiry. You would have to create so much logic to do that, so many different if-else branches, but you can just simply have, hey, when a new lead has been captured in a conversation, determine the appropriate salesperson to handle this inquiry, and then create a CRM sales task. Or, choose the appropriate lead tier, estimate the opportunity value. As long as you can provide the necessary information to the AI employee, they will be able to follow up on your action and then perform an action inside of the automation workflow. So let's get really specific here. When a new lead has been captured in a conversation, let's assume this conversation is happening on a web chat. It makes a ton of sense to then send an SMS to a contact. This is not too dissimilar to what I did with the form. So we need to now tell our AI employee what we want to happen before it sends an SMS to a contact. And there is a specific automation step that's entitled send a request to an employee. Let me share what that looks like specifically in the Vendasta platform. It says call an AI employee. You choose the employee, and then you write out the prompt and provide the information. So what would be a good example of a prompt that you would send to an AI employee? Maybe write a follow-up message that you will send via SMS. Write it short and conversationally. I will provide you the context of the conversation, and you must only output the follow-up message. And then you provide the context from the automation. You're working with an AI employee that has its own purpose, has its own capabilities and things that it's trying to do, but you're giving it an extra little job. And you want to make sure that you're providing all of the information and context that it's going to be able to need to send this SMS in the automation workflow. Nice example there. Let's look at another one. You can not only use the conversation context, but the AI employees also still have access to their capabilities and tools. So let's say that our AI receptionist is able to create quotes by using APIs from outside systems. You've given it its capability and tool. Well, in your automation workflow, hey, when a new lead has been captured in a conversation, based on the conversation context, create a quote in our system using this tool. Use the best information available, then write a short message appropriate to send in an SMS explaining the quote cost and linking to the URL. And then you'll use that information to send an SMS to a contact. It's a different way of thinking about things, but it's a great way to know that each and every time a lead has been captured in a conversation, you can do this action that requires a lot of thinking and a lot of reasoning, let's say, before sending an SMS to a contact. But let me tell you, as someone who has reached out to a number of different people who work in the home services industry, I get so much more value out of having that quote and a little bit of an explanation to it than just getting a deterministic response saying, "Hey, thanks, we got your message. We'll reach out to you in a day." Cool. That message that told me I'll get responded to in a day is fine. It's better than nothing. But being able to get that quote right away would be a mind blowing and super, super helpful experience for me as a user. And that's the value of bringing in that non deterministic aspect into the workflow. So let's have a demo of what that's like to build those sorts of post conversation actions into an AI workflow. So I'm going to share, once again, I am in my Mr. Handy Helper business app, and I'm going to start from blank. There's a number of different templates that are available. I showed off that form submission one. That's really good. But I'm going to start from blank to show you how simple it can be. And we're going to use a trigger that I think is ripe for this mix of non-deterministic and a deterministic automation and workflow. So I'm going to find when a lead has been captured by a web chat. Great, someone reached out in web chat, and we caught their lead information, and we're going to do some sort of follow-up. I will start that as the trigger. And next, we are going to assume that this lead, there's some sort of opportunity value to this. We might not know what it is, but we should be very clear that there is some sort of opportunity value potentially here. and we want to log it in the CRM. No problem. We are going to ask our AI employee, and we're going to ask specifically our Mr. Handy helper employee, determine whether or not there is an opportunity that needs to be followed up on. You should reference the type of work that we handle to determine if it's a valid opportunity. Respond with a yes if there is a valid opportunity. Respond with a no if there is no valid opportunity. You do not need to respond with anything else. Only respond with yes or no. And now this is where we add in the context that is going to help our AI employee understand this. We're going to insert dynamic content. We're going to take it from a previous step, from the trigger step. And we're going to take the chat summary and share it with the AI employee. So now what's going to happen? The AI employee will be told, hey, determine whether there's an opportunity or not, respond yes or no. Here's the context. And we're going to get a response back in the automation. Based on that response back, we're going to use a branch to determine what we do next. Hey, based on that workflow information we got from our AI employee, does the answer contain yes or no? If the answer contained yes, then let's create an opportunity. And we're going to create it in this pipeline, in this open step, and we'll call it new opportunity. But if there isn't, then nothing needs to be done. The automation can just be done. And that's okay. But maybe we actually want to not just generally create a new opportunity. Maybe we want to have even more information specific filled out based on that chat summary. Well, great. Let's call our AI employee. And just to help us follow along with this, let's call this opportunity description generation. And we'll say, based on the context from our chat, write a short summary of the opportunity that there is. Keep it to less than 50 words. We're always providing that context by grabbing content from the automation. Oops, I should be grabbing this from our trigger. And now we can use the response from that in our opportunity. Maybe we will write down, let's see here, the opportunity name. There we are. Oh, I guess we have it here already. And instead of it just being a new opportunity, we will take from the opportunity description generation response. And we'll have a custom named opportunity based on the conversation context. There is so much that you can do with this, but the basic structure is start with your trigger. Figure out what is triggering this workflow and what information it gives, and figure out the outcome. What do we want to have happen each and every time that a lead is captured? We want to create an opportunity. Great. Let's see all of the different information that we can glean out from that conversation and bring it to the opportunity using our AI employee and giving good prompts with good context. So that brings me to just my last quick tips here, going over some of what we talked about here. You got to start your planning with that trigger and that desired action. You can get AI employees to do a whole bunch of things, but it's really important to understand what is going to be triggering these workflows. What are we going to be doing at the end? And do we have the required information in between to get to our AI employee? And that's where you need to ask yourself, what info does AI need to be helpful? It's entirely possible that that info might not be available from that trigger, and you might need to think about another workflow, or even does AI need to be involved in this process at this step right now? There's lots of different information you can get from a conversation, from a form submission, from a contact record, or from a note being created, things like that. Um, but if you can't get all of that context that would be needed for the AI, you might not want to have AI involved at all. As you saw in my prompts, you got to be very clear what you want your AI employee to respond to. So if I'm saying write an SMS, be very clear that it's an SMS and that the only thing that you need is that SMS response and no extra information. The AI employees used to talking in a conversational manner, and it'll be, "Hey, thanks so much." It's like you see people when they copy direct from ChatGPT, and it includes the intro and the outro text. Be very clear that you don't need that intro and outro text. This is just exactly what I want you to output. And your AI employee can use their capabilities, tools, and knowledge. So whatever you've done to configure that AI employee, know that that's available in the automation workflows as well too. Because it's non-deterministic, it might not always call that certain tool or always call that certain capability. But it's possible, and it can create some really powerful workflows that are triggered in consistent ways and then get used dynamically based on the context of the conversation, the activity, the information that you share. Now, we've got some great questions coming in here that I will attempt to answer, although we are at time. If you have to leave, don't worry. We'll be putting up a recording of this on YouTube that you can watch later as well, too. From Thomas, instead of SMS, can this also be a WhatsApp or an email since we cannot use SMS in Europe and Africa? Um, Great question. Right now in our automations, we have the ability to send an SMS automatically. And we have the ability to send a email. We don't at the moment have an automation step for sending a WhatsApp. But once a conversation has moved to WhatsApp, then yes, the AI receptionist can respond. And we have that automation step to send an email. So that's, we want to make our AI employees able to have those conversations and have those deterministic workflows available too. So it's certainly something that um, we're working towards. But a great point that different channels have different automation steps available, and the capabilities of an AI employee are different depending on the different channels that they work on. So important to keep those in mind as you're building those workflows. Let's move on to, can we add the client's calendar for bookings by impersonating or as an admin without the client needing permission access to the I see. Um, So inside of the Vendasta platform, and let me perhaps share my screen once more. You are able to set up calendars using My Meetings. The way that it is set up is you will sort of set up these events, either personal, teams, or sessions. And when you do that, you are using a certain team member's calendar or multiple team members' calendars. And this is all with the assumption that they each have their own Google Calendar link or their own Google Calendar profile. So in these cases, it's not possible to impersonate in as someone else unless you also have their full Google Calendar. Then sure, cool. But we've kept that where it's as an individual can set it up and have control. Now, if you have other calendaring tools, you can absolutely get the AI employee to book on those different calendaring tools. What you would do is you would create a capability, you would write the prompt, and then using the APIs from that other tool, you would create a tool definition using the API information. And absolutely, then the AI can do things like book inside those calendars. Now, certain calendaring systems aren't super great about letting their APIs be available, but it's entirely possible that that is an option. So it requires a little bit of research on your part to see what APIs are available and if they're open and usable for booking appointments. Great question. Is the chat summary an AI summary of the entire conversation? Can we make use of the entire conversation? Right now, the chat summary is just a short snippet. So I should have just continued sharing. All right, hold on. Let's see if I have a good, oh yes, from our conversations here. We can see in the conversation view that there was a lot of back and forth in this conversation. Here's Jed, here's Mr. Handy Helper. But if we view the contact, we can see the conversation summary captures a whole heck of a lot of the information, but summarizes it down to the specifics of it. So we've done this because it helps reduce the amount of context, or I should say not context, but tokens that get sent to a context machine. And that helps AI generally respond better and to put in more information. The information density is greater. So right now, this just happens automatically with the chat summary. But we do want to make the full transcript available for certain use cases. That's something that we're looking into, but is not available today. I found generally that these summaries have all of the information that should be needed for most AI use cases there. And the other helpful thing to remember is that if there's any other information that the AI is like pulling from a capability or pulling from a knowledge lookup, the AI employee will have access to that inside of the automation workflow as well too. It can look up knowledge. It can use a tool to get information from another system. So the information density here is probably enough, but it's important to note that that chat summary is not the full transcript. Good question. Any other? Got it. Would be great to have a testing opportunity right within the automation editor. Yes, makes sense. This is a great opportunity for me to shout out feedback.vendasta.com. It's a great place to put in these sorts of requests. If there's something in the Vendasta system that you think you would love to see improved, be great to have that listed and logged so people can vote in and provide a thumbs up and say, hey, that's information that I want to share too. I want to be able to do that as well. And then our teams can appropriately respond and work on that. Last question, do we have a Calendar Hero integration build? No, we don't at the moment. I think going forward, it's best to work with the calendar system that is built into the business app. And I know that there are those cases where, oh, we don't have a calendar system that they don't have Google Calendar set up. We don't have Outlook set up, those different calendar systems that we hook in with automatically. For those cases, I think you can provide a lot of value as an agency by helping set that up. Let's set up their Google Workspace properly. Let's set up their Microsoft Office properly. Or on the chance that they are working with a tool that does have appointment booking, then you can work with that system more directly by using tools and capabilities. If not, hey, the Vendasta CRM has that meeting opportunities to really have it included right inside the Vendasta platform, and you can provide a lot of value there. But I would say working with Calendar Hero is probably not going to be in your best interest. It's a great question. Appreciate it. Sorry, I don't have a shorter answer there for you. And with that, we are 7 minutes past. But thank you so much for all the questions. These are really great. If you have other thoughts or questions around automations and AI workflows, I encourage you to view our Vendasta Help and Updates YouTube, where the rest of the series has been uploaded. This will be uploaded there as well too. And in 2 weeks from now, I'll be doing another session as well, where we look at some exciting ways where you can interact with an AI employee. So thanks so much for attending this one, and I hope to see you at another very soon.